Hi, welcome to Live on KEXP at Home. I'm DJ Morgan from listener powered independent 90.3 FM KEXP in Seattle. We stream online at kexp.org as well, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with live DJs. And we are listener powered. So thank you so much to all of our donors for making everything we do at KEXP possible, including these live at KEXP live on KEXP at Home sessions that we've been able to do for these past couple of months while everybody has been working from home and keeping socially distant and safe during this time of COVID. And we're so excited to keep connecting you to all of these amazing artists. And I am so excited to be joined today by Thao of Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down. Welcome.
Hi, good to be here. Good to see you.
So nice to see you. How are you? How are things?
They're all right. You know, we're in a new spectrum and scale of relativity, so everything is fine.
Where are you coming? Where are you right now? You're at home, I assume. Where's home?
I'm at home in Oakland, California.
Great. And how have you been keeping busy during this time? Obviously, you released a new album, Temple, back in May. Congrats on that.
Thank
It's a
you.
wonderful record. How have you been keeping busy since March?
You know, in the beginning, it was this. Well, you know, I think everyone took a while to get their sea legs in this new era, and we were making a lot of stuff to promote the record and trying to figure out how we could still release the album and have some semblance of a press cycle and trying to get, share the new record. But since then, there's been a ton of stuff, obviously with the uprisings, I've been trying to be more involved at a local community level. And I've been cooking a lot to raise money for different organizations.
Oh, wow. How are you cooking for other organizations? How does that work?
Well, I had this, so my neighbor down the street is an amazing baker, and he has a bakery that's a bread studio that's run out of his house. And so I emailed him and asked if we could team up. And my plan was to collect produce donations from the neighborhood and then cook soup. And then we would pair the soup with his bread.
Oh, wow.
And then we would sell those meals, and all the money would go to different organizations. But the idea, and so we've done it twice now. We're doing it every 2 weeks because I have, we have jobs.
Right.
But the idea is to make it a sustained community effort, and everyone's been really amazing with donating produce and mason jars and all that stuff.
That's so cool. That's amazing.
Thanks. It's been so fun.
Yeah, that's great. So you were nice enough to record yourself playing some new songs for us, some new songs, some older songs, and a cover as well. Thank you so much for doing that. And we'll chat a little bit more about the new record and other things, but I'd love to get into those performances first. So we're going to play 3 songs that you recorded. The first one is a cover. Can you talk about what cover you chose and why you chose it?
I chose a classic in many circles, Karen Dalton's version of A Little Bit of Rain, which has been a companion to me throughout so many turbulent times. It's always been such a source of solace. And so in this rendition, I'm playing piano, which I don't typically. I just started trying. And it's been so comforting to play this song.
Great. Let's see it now. This is Thao covering A Little Bit of Rain live on KEXP at Home.
If I should leave you, try to remember all the good times. Long days filled with sunshine. Just a little bit of rain. If you should look back, try to forget all the bad times, lonely, blue, and sad times. Just a little bit of rain, if I should leave you, try to remember all the good times, warm days filled with sunshine, just a little bit of rain.
Lovely. You say you just
Thanks.
started learning piano?
I did. I've always noodled around, but I've never really had a chance to practice and focus on it. So it's been nice to every day, or every few days, just to sit for an extended amount of time.
Yeah. How are you learning? Are you using books or videos or just ears?
Just ears. I wish I've tried different books, and I thought I would sign up for an online thing like Khan Academy or so, but when I sit down at the piano, it's so nice to not think about being online.
Yeah. I hear
so
that.
so it's just, yeah, it reminds me of when I was a lot younger, teaching myself how to play guitar. It was just the same. It's kind of just working it out, trying to commit things to muscle memory without looking.
That's such a good feeling. Being able to slow down in this time and sort of feel the way you did before the days of internet has been a really welcome side effect of this time that I've been enjoying. So the next couple songs are from the new record Temple. This next one is the title track. Can you tell us a little bit about this song before it starts?
Sure, of course. Temple is the heart of this most recent record, and I wrote it in the voice of my mom. It's the narrative is she's talking to me about her life before and during and after the war, and I wrote it. I wanted to conjure these images that she conjured throughout my childhood of talking about her life before the war and how vibrant it was and what she was doing right when the war, right when Saigon fell, which she was working for the South Vietnamese embassy. And I just wanted to render this more nuanced and complete, offer a more complex picture of the life of a refugee of war.
Wow.
And I also wanted to connect the old world with the new world, which is, my life now.
Great. So this is the song Temple. It's Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down live on KEXP at home. Temple from Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down live on KEXP at home. It's such a good song. It's so powerful. You had the opportunity to go to Vietnam and bring your mother with you, and you documented the whole thing in a documentary called Nobody Dies. I assume part of that informed this song. Can you talk about that experience, what that was like for you and for your mother, of course?
Sure. It was remarkable, and it was life altering. in 2015, our band was invited by the U.S. Embassy to perform in Vietnam, and it was part of the commemoration of the 20th anniversary of the normalization of relations between the U.S. and Vietnam. And so we had a chance to go back and perform, and I had not been, and my entire life I just assumed I would go back with my mom. I wanted to see Vietnam for the first time with my mom, but it was really hard to convince her because obviously there's so much trauma and sorrow, and her affiliation with the South Vietnamese government, that those things loomed so large, and so it was hard to convince her that everything would be okay. And but it was amazing to see her back there, because it's like as soon as we landed, I just got to see this other dimension of her, because I grew up in Virginia with my brother and I and my mom, and we always, we would translate for her. There are just things that happen when someone is not, when someone has to adapt and figure out how to make a life in another country. And so to see how agile and nimble she was, and she just had this vibrance that I never saw it with her in America. And it was such a gift to get to see that. She's haggling with people, she's deciding, she's ordering for us at the restaurant, she's asking people for directions. It just anyway, and it was so intense, obviously.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So emotional.
Wow, that sounds like a really beautiful experience. Did you grow up talking to your mom much about her experiences in Vietnam, or was that something that started sort of unraveling while you were there?
I think no. That the subject of Vietnam and her life there, we didn't touch upon it a lot, because there is so much emotion and pain there, and it doesn't. There's never a great time to bring up, that kind of tragedy. But there would be stories, of course, of just sort of everyday life and family that she would talk about, and that my relatives would talk about. But that notion of freedom, that was only when we were in Vietnam that she said, and I basically, I'm paraphrasing a lot of what she said to me in Temple, when she said, you have to find out for yourself what freedom is, and why millions of people would risk their lives for it, why a million people would risk their life at sea, and you have to learn for yourself. Wow. So that idea of freedom and what I will do with it, it really informed the making of this record.
Yeah, I can imagine. The video for Temple as well is beautiful. Can you talk about the story in that video? There's dancers. I'd love to hear more about that.
Sure. Well, I knew with making the video for Temple that I would that I really wanted to work with Johnny Look again, and Johnny made the Meticulous bird video, and I so appreciated working with him, and I really appreciated his subtle touch and his understanding of a song, and going there, but not but allowing for a lot of interpretation, and his aesthetic. I love his aesthetic so much. So we talked to him about the idea of dance and how that was so important to my mom, and we wanted to make a dance song. That's what Temple is, and she would always tell me stories about how she'd go out dancing when she worked for the embassy, and on the weekends she'd travel throughout Southeast Asia and just go to clubs and just live that life.
Cool.
Live her best life. And even growing up in Virginia, there was a pretty robust Vietnamese community, a part of the diaspora, and my parents would, and I would go with them. I would attend these these dance parties that people had in their basements, and it was everyone would dress up, and there'd be disco lights, and it would be cha-cha and rumba, and everyone's dancing, and it was this remarkable thing that I didn't know how to appreciate. As we all do, we miss things, but it was a beautiful moment in time where everyone was capturing more carefree moments of their lives prior to war and resettling in America. So I wanted to capture that joy amidst sorrow, and the way dance has been so important in my family and in the Vietnamese community. So Johnny and the producer and that team were able to locate this community dance group of Vietnamese people in Orange County. And we asked them if they would be in the video.
They look great. It's amazing.
They're awesome. They were amazing. My favorite part is when there's a section where they just kind of let loose and kind of improvised dance towards the end of the song. And I cry every time. It's really sweet to see.
Thank you for sharing.
Oh, of course.
I'm talking to Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down. We have another song love to hear next. Can you talk about this next song, Pure Cinema? What is this one about?
This one is the one that I think of. It's like kind of a self-help-ish song, but it's referencing my life as a touring musician and how many selves I divided myself into. And it's about finally becoming whole and having a family and staying in a place enough so that can happen. And it's like I like to think of it as a cautionary tale, speaking to my younger self.
Yeah. It's good to give advice.
Yeah, to yourself, if no one else.
Right.
Yeah.
If no one, right, exactly. I'm sure you're influencing other people by listening to this.
I hope so.
So this is the song Pure Cinema from the new album Temple. It's Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down live on KEXP at home.
Traveled so lightly 'cause I was a fraction up there. Bodies in motion, just wanna belong somewhere. I gave it good enough. I watched it all. Pure cinema. Live a little, my love. Keep a little for once. Who do we think we are? Live a little. Traveled so lightly 'cause I was a fraction out there. Bodies in motion, just wanna belong somewhere. I gave it good enough. I watched it all. Pure cinema. I was once a shell. You could turn as well. Who do we think we are? Live a little. Won't you stay a while? Find your family. Let them anchor you in the open sea. It could get dangerous, baby, but how bad could it be? Look what fear has done to a young buck like me. Won't you stay a while? Find your family. Let them anchor you what fear has done to a young buck like me. Scattered here, scattered there. Don't be scared, don't be scared. Scattered here, scattered there. Don't be scared, don't be scared. Travel so lightly 'cause I was a fraction out there. Bodies in motion, just wanna belong somewhere. I gave it good enough. I watched it all. You traveled so lightly 'cause I was a fraction out there. Bodies in motion, just wanna belong somewhere. I gave it good enough. I watched it all. Pure cinema.
Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down live on KEXP at home. So it's been 4 years since your last record came out. And when you announced the release of Temple a few months ago on your Instagram, you talked about how A Man Alive back in 2016 might well have been your last record. What caused you to make this new record? Like, what changed with you?
The thing that was keeping me from making the record was the thing I needed to make the record. Meaning, I knew if I were to make another album that I would have a lot of work to do in my personal life and in my emotional and psychological life. And I didn't know if I was up for it. And it being, I won't be so vague and obtuse, that I knew I needed to make a record wherein I was out publicly, but that was such a source of discord and conflict in my family, and has been for so long, that I knew I had to get to a place where I would be okay with whatever kind of estrangement or excommunication, whatever would happen with my family. I just had to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know if I would be prepared ever. But I realized I was thwarting my life in so many ways. It just was this impasse that I couldn't get beyond. And then, but with starting to make the record and doing that work and just going there, then it helped me move through everything. This album is sort of like it's almost a chronological document of the work I was doing in my life, so that I could get to a point where I did get married, and I would get to a point where I would feel fine with being out in my career and in the press, and not worry about what my family would say, or just, I just had to, I had to get to that point where you shed that shame.
Yeah. It's a massive amount of energy. It takes a lot of bravery. It takes a lot of, yeah.
Morgan, I'm exhausted.
I'm sure you are. I can't
Jesus.
even imagine.
Yeah.
But I am so happy for you. It must be a weight that's lifted, I'm sure. And congratulations on getting married. I'm so happy to hear that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
When did you get married? Was it recently?
It was New Year's Eve.
Wow. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we had basically the last gathering before no one could see each other in person again.
That's good timing.
It was good timing. It was quite fortunate.
Did you have a fun party?
I did. We did. Yeah. It was a surprise. I surprised my partner with the wedding. It was really very
Really?
stressful. Yeah, that's a whole nother session. But it
You
was funny. It was, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, had you proposed already, or was like the whole thing spur of the moment?
Well, the thing is, that was part of the thwarting of the life is we had been talking about it for so long. So it wasn't that we didn't know we would be. This is real life. There's a fly in the house. I'm just going to react as it happens.
You're like,
Yeah.
all good.
But I realized that, we had been talking about it so much and wanting to, but there were so many things that I had to sort out with my family and within myself so that we could move, we could sort of pursue the rest of our lives.
Yeah. Wow. That's so amazing. You're so socially conscious and caring of other people. So I'm so happy to hear that on this record you're like really taking care of yourself. That's so good.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Of course. So speaking of your creativity, you've been amazing in your promotion once lockdown happened. Obviously, you had a whole tour planned for the release of this record, and we talked about the video for Temple, and that was filmed before lockdown happened. And then you've made 2 new videos during all of this, during the stay-at-home order. You did a video for Pure Cinema, that song that you just played. Can you talk about the making of that video and like what did that mean to you?
Sure. It was well, this was definitely, my partner Molly has been a huge part of this record. She designed the album art and has basically been the artistic director throughout the campaign and was going to be designing the live show. So she's been a huge help and a creative force. And I say that because shooting Pure Cinema in our home was bananas, and we had to get the press photos, there's some where there's actually a parachute in the backdrop, and that parachute belonged to Molly's coworker who shot the photography for the album art. So we wanted to bring the parachute back because the song is about landing in your life, and we wanted to project footage, and we didn't. And then Molly was like, we'll project footage onto the parachute. But then we had to wait every night till it was dark. And it was only 2 nights that we had to shoot it. And the director, Justin Mitchell, was in Los Angeles. And so he's sending footage of the band. So this is a lot of steps. So all the bandmates, everyone's collecting their own footage on their phones and then sending them to Justin. Justin's editing everything together, directing them. He sends clips wherein that I will then project onto the parachute, and then we'll film me singing in front of the parachute. So there were a lot of moving parts, and there was only like a few days to, pandemic deadlines. I don't know how they just smack you right. They just punch you in the face.
Time is moving faster, I swear.
But why? But how? I don't know. But we got, there was this urgency, and so for 2 nights in a row, we stayed up till 5 a.m. to shoot because it had to be dark, and then our house was a disaster because everything had to move so that we could hang this parachute up. So that was Pure Cinema.
Wow, that's awesome. And then Phenom was the 3rd video, which you did all in Zoom. And do you hold the title of the first music video made in Zoom? Is that right?
I mean, it's, I hope. I didn't, that's certainly a goal of mine in my life now that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
That urgency was really palpable because we definitely thought someone would make a dance video in Zoom, and we definitely wanted to release one before they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you nailed it, and it looks amazing.
Thank you.
Can you talk about who are the dancers in that video and like how did that choreography go down? Because it's so precise and that's really hard to do in Zoom.
Oh, the team behind that video and the dancers involved were so remarkable, and I sing their praises any chance I get because it was such a Herculean task to get all that stuff going and to make that video. And we had 2 directors and a producer, so we had this production team, and then the dancers, a lot of them were originally slated to be in the Phenom video that was going to be shot in Los Angeles in a little thing called Real Life.
What?
And that's right. And that we were going to shoot that at the end of March, but as soon as South by canceled, we knew that everything would follow suit. And then of course Shelter in Place happened in California.
Yeah.
So those are all amazing dancers in LA. And we were here, you know, and I did my part in the kitchen, in the pantry room.
Nice. It looks really cool. It's turned out amazing.
Thank you. Thanks so much. The fly likes it too.
Yeah. So let's get into the next song. And then also I am happy that you are going to take some listener questions as well. So that'll be really fun. So if you have a question for Thao, go ahead and write those in the comments. And during this next song, I'll pick out a few and we can ask your questions. So this next song is also from the new album Temple. This is Marrow. Can you talk a little bit about this one before we get into it?
Sure. Marrow, I wrote and completed the recording just as I was about to get married, actually. And to me, it's the culmination of the album. And it's one of my favorites because it's just this declaration, and it's also a reflection and an apology and a thank you for sticking with me.
Oh, that's so nice. This is Marrow from Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down live on KEXP at Home.
Would you believe she wants to keep the rest of me, the death of me? I got grief in my marrow. Will you marry me still? I'm one of 2 on the straight and the narrow, and I'm coming for you. I was an island. Was I treading? Was I fleeing? I was silent. I could barely hear me breathing. You dawned upon me. To the least goes the most. I was the drought and you were the coast. I promised I will be good to us. I promised what are you worth if you don't make a sound? Will be good to us. I've been searching all of my life. When it's whittled to the middle, is it alright that I managed just a little of the good fight? Had to learn what truth does. The friction of the fiction was burning me up. I was meant to defend us, and I promise I will. I know I've lived as a quiet apology. I'm sorry to you, and I'm sorry to me. I got grief in my marrow. Will you marry me still? I'm one of 2 on the straight and the narrow, and I'm coming for you. I was meant to defend us, and I promise I will be good to us. I was meant to defend us, and I promise I will searching all of my life.
That was Marrow from Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down live on KEXP at home. I'm still copying and pasting questions. One sec. Okay, there we go.
Ooh.
All right. So Thao is gracious enough to take some of your questions, pulled some down during that last song. These are fun questions. I like them. Jenna Poole asks, do you have any plans to do any drive-in type concerts in the Bay Area?
Oh, that is a notion I've not even considered. Well, I would love to. Yeah, let me talk to my manager, see
Yeah.
what we can do.
Good call.
Yeah. Good one, Jenna. Nice. Thank you.
Yeah. If we have months and months of COVID ahead of us, perhaps some socially distant things would be nice. All of us are starting to ramp up. Let's see. Tien Fan asks, what artists are you inspired by?
I will say I'm most inspired by writers and filmmakers. And for this record in particular, I read a lot of, well, you know, so much of it was about me embracing my heritage in a way that I'd never had. And that's a whole other thing we can talk about. But it was so important to me to really be proud of who I come from. And that has taken a long time as well, to incorporate that into my work more and to talk about it more. So I was reading a lot of Viet Thanh Nguyen and Thi Bui, and those were the two writers who made me want to talk about being Vietnamese.
That's cool. Let's see. Metal to Disco asks, is there a songwriting process that you usually follow? Do you do words first or music first?
Typically, before this record, I would say that they happened simultaneously. And it would be, I'd be on an instrument and then I would get a vocal melody, but then I would write riffs or chord progressions, and, you know, they would feed each other. This one, it was so hard to address. It took me so long to figure out the lyrics that I was making a lot of the music that Adam, my bandmate, and I were making a lot of the music before there, you know, and I had the vocal melodies, but I didn't have any words until the very end.
Wow.
Because it was so important to me what I was saying that it just took a lot longer.
Did you write all of the lyrics for the whole album sort of in one batch, or how?
It felt like it.
Yeah.
December was a blur. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we were up against a bunch of deadlines, and I would basically allow 2 or 3 days per song wherein I would write the lyrics and finalize them. And it was just, I wouldn't recommend that method. It was incredibly stressful.
Yeah, I'm sure. But you finished them all before your wedding?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to.
Yeah.
I had
bet.
to. Yeah.
You can go and party, have a celebration with like a sort of a clear conscience. You're like,
Oh yeah, I
did
was
it all.
loopy. I was so punchy because there was the release of so many different stresses.
Yeah. Wow. You had a big catharsis all at once.
I did. Yeah.
So this is the first album, correct me if I'm wrong, that you produced yourself along with your bandmate. So Dan Corbin asks, what was the best thing about producing your own album, and what was the worst thing about producing your own album?
Dan Corbin, is it my friend? Yeah,
Is it?
Hi Dan. Dan is an old friend from Virginia
awesome.
and in Austin. Dan and Jenny have housed us. I mean, they've been so sweet to our band for over 15 years.
And a
They've
very
been
thoughtful
amazing.
question to boot.
Oh yeah. The best thing was believing that I could do it.
Yeah.
And was having full control, but not demurring and not shrinking from that responsibility, but really stepping into it.
And that was the best thing or the worst
That was
thing?
the best thing.
That was the best thing. What was the worst thing?
The worst thing. I gotta say, I don't think there are a lot of downsides to self-producing. I think before I thought it was, I need fresh ears. I don't know, there are too many things to keep track of and be in control of. But that was just a psychological block.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? File management. I'm very disorganized.
There you go.
And I'd like to take this moment to thank the engineers at KEXP, Julian and Matt, and then Jim for helping with video. As I said, I'm a very messy engineer, producer type, and I don't claim these things to be my wheelhouse. So they helped me a lot with the files.
Our team is so awesome.
Remarkable.
Speaking of which, quick plug. So KEXP has a new video series called Isolated Tracks that we just launched the first episode of yesterday with Michael Benjamin Lerner from Telekinesis. But you filmed an episode as well, which is very exciting. So we don't have a release date for that, but definitely check back on the KEXP YouTube channel. So it's basically breaking down, it's like Song Exploder, which you hosted for all of 2019, where it's breaking down a song to its stem files. What song did you break down with Julian? Can you give us a hint?
We broke. The hint is
Or you can tell
Temple.
us.
Yeah.
Temple. Yeah.
And Julian spoke with myself and with my bandmate Adam.
Cool. We're excited for that to launch. So definitely tune in for that when it launches. This is a very thoughtful question. JB asks, which song from your catalog has changed its meaning to you over the years in ways you didn't expect?
JB, that's a good one. I know that there are songs throughout the catalog whose meanings have changed over the years, but the one that I'll reference now is very recent. It's Temple, because when I was writing it, it was about obviously the refugee of war story and my mom and the idea of freedom. But since the uprisings, it's hard to. I've been quite compelled to, through the work of different writers and scholars and organizers within the Vietnamese community, within the Asian American community, to just pull back and think of what was the landscape and what was the political will to have Southeast Asian refugees even settle in America, and who helped aid that, and who are the Black civil rights leaders and Black organizers who've been working to defeat and dispel racism, and what of their work directly and indirectly made America less racist enough that Southeast Asian refugees of war could settle here. So the meanings, and then that leads me into, the idea of not just being so celebratory of the culture I come from, but also have the opportunity and the chance to use the freedom that I've been born into to question and to compel us to exist more righteously, and say and call out anti-Black racism in the culture, and not just be reverent, and not just stop at flying under the radar, because it's not necessarily our problem within the Vietnamese community. And so that's how Temple has changed a lot for me since its inception.
Yeah. To dig in a little bit farther on what you just said, what do you think the role of music and musicians is, especially during times like right now, during the heightened Black Lives Matter movement? Even during the Vietnam War, of course, music was a huge thing. What is the role of music and musicians in these times, especially?
I used to be more optimistic about what our role is, and I used to have grander ideas of what music could do. But I have so much respect for, I've had the privilege of working closely with grassroots organizers over the years, and just knowing people sort of peripherally who do the work and are in it every day. And I don't believe that okay, so the other week, so my friend Marrow of Tune Yards sent me this Seth Meyers episode where Rami Youssef was on with Patrice Cullors of Black Lives Matter. And they were talking about art and its role. And what he said resonated with me a great deal, because he said basically it can help emotionally prepare people to act.
Mm.
But I agree. I don't think, that it doesn't stop with art. We all, obviously. And I don't want us to become, I don't want us to be misled to believe that there is not substantial action that must take place outside of the creation of art and the support of art. There is, we have to raise money, and we have to influence legislation, and all of that helps, but I think it's just easy to get be lulled into misguided ideas of efficacy.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, that music can be that primer, that door opener to normalize ideas for large groups of people. I think that's very resonant for sure. One last question, and this is a fun one.
I'm fun. Morgan, I'm fun.
No, I know.
Yeah, okay.
I love it.
All right, thanks. I just wanted people to know that I'm also fun.
Well, I'm going to ask you a fun question after this last listener fun question. We'll have double fun.
All right.
What movies would you recommend?
Right now?
Yeah.
I will say I can only, I haven't, Honeyland, which is this documentary. It's on Hulu. We watched that a couple months ago. I'm not great at Okja, which is the director of Parasite. Oh God, I can't exactly remember his name.
I'm also blanking on it.
But
I know who you're talking about, though.
So he also made, and I think it's available on Netflix, Okja, which is this incredible film as well. I'm a really big fan of his, which is why it's very embarrassing right now. Bong Joon-ho.
There you go.
Okay. That one's really good. I've heard that Portrait of a Lady on Fire is amazing, but we haven't seen it yet. We kind of fall into this groove of only watching cooking shows or World of Dance.
Nice.
And both bring, all those things bring me incredible joy and comfort. But I like movies too. Yeah, go ahead.
That leads me to my next question, because you talked about liking cooking so much. I saw that you have gotten really into gardening, which I have as well too during this time. Please tell me about your garden.
Oh, I'm so glad that you asked. I'm so into it. And, touring has always been this insurmountable obstacle to having a garden, and to keeping it alive. But now, the added dimension of what if our food supply goes out, people are feeling that. But I've been growing corn We have a standard zucchini, which is just so easy. It makes you feel great. If nothing else, it just boosts your morale as a gardener.
Totally. I have one too.
Right? And then you're like, oh, I'll go live off the land and eat this zucchini. And I barely did anything. Tomatoes are doing well. We have a couple, we put in some blueberry bushes. Potatoes, oh my God. I mean, you just put it in the dirt.
And it just grows.
It just, and then you go back in the dirt and then you know,
Yeah. I love
that's
potatoes
so fulfilling.
because the plant dies and then you're like, oh, they're ready. And
That's
it's
right.
not that the plant is dead. It's that you
That's
can now
right.
have potatoes.
It's like the plant dies, but here is life. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ugh, gardening is
Oh,
so fun.
God,
Super
love
into it.
And
You've
my
been
mom,
doing-
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you talk about your mom. Go ahead.
Oh, she sent a bunch of Thai basil from Florida. So through the U.S. Postal Service, which was remarkable. And
They survived?
They survived.
Yes.
And they're thriving.
That's amazing. So now you have a little piece of your mom.
They do. It's really sweet. She
That's
also
very
sent
sweet.
lemongrass
Oh,
and pandan leaves, but they don't do well in this climate. Yeah.
I don't even, what is a pandan leaf? I don't even know what that is.
Pandan leaf is it has this almost sort of coconutty flavor, but it's used a lot in Thai cooking and some Vietnamese cooking, and it's in Vietnamese desserts it's used a lot. But it's just this leaf where if you soak it and make a tea, if you steep it, it flavors the water in this incredible, in like a really robust and deep way. And then you can make pandan cake, and you can hypothetically if your pandan plant is alive.
Right. If you're in the right climate for
If
it.
you're in Florida, you're making tons of stuff with pandan leaves.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
That's right. Yeah.
So we have one more song actually from you.
Oh.
So let's get into that. So you chose an older song from your last record, A Man Alive, Meticulous Bird. Can you talk about this song a little bit before we get to it?
Sure. I wanted to bring this song back because it's I did a few solo tours and it was so freeing to be able to do it live in a solo format, with some looping, and Meticulous Bird in so many ways has helped inform the making of this record, Temple. And I think of Phenom as a direct descendant of Meticulous Bird, and it helped me to see what I could be as a producer and what I could do making beats. And so it just was a really nice gateway and segue into my musical life now.
Awesome. This is Meticulous Bird from Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down live on KEXP at home.
I don't know who's getting any, I don't know who's giving what. Oh, what a pity, such a pretty city bears no children. I don't see them on the runway, bust them in on Sundays. Visitors are meeting to decide if you can come stay. Why deny? Why deny? Why deny? Why deny? I chase a stone cold thief with a regular grab. I find the scene of the crime. I take my body back listen, pay attention. I know the science of the fiction, of conviction, of the henchman. I am here for the masterminds. They told us that you sold us. Oh my, oh my, oh my God. Didn't know you get ferocious. Oh my God, you didn't know I get ferocious. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Why deny? Why deny? Why deny? Why deny? Why deny? Why deny? I chase a stone cold thief. I chase a stone cold thief with a regular grab. I find the scene of the crime. I take my body back. I chase a stone cold thief with a regular grab. I find the scene of the crime. I take my body back. Grow my hair so long, two wraps around you. You've been starving for air ever since I found you. You had a dalliance with alliance of violence to vow against. Not what I dreamed, not what I dreamt, not how I mean, not how I meant. We ate like birds, seeds and things, hunting only for seasoning. I planned on no problems to punctuate my stay. Now I perch above you, meticulous bird of prey. Now I perch above you, meticulous bird of prey. Why deny? Why deny? Why deny? Why deny? Why deny? Why deny? I chase a stone cold thief. I find the scene of the crime. I take my body back. I find the scene of the crime. I take my body back.
Yes, that song is such a jam. Perfect way to end the session.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's Thao and the Get Down, Stay Down live on KEXP at home. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. This was so fun. So nice to see you and talk to you. Congrats.
It was really my pleasure. I really appreciate it. And thank you to you and KEXP for always supporting us. We're so grateful.
We love you always. The new album, thank you. The new album is Temple. Definitely go pick it up. Thao, do you want to plug anything before we go?
I want to plug KEXP's isolated tracks and in your local organizations that are finding ways to defend Black life.
BlackLivesMatterSeattle.org.
Nice.
Yes. Cool. Thank you so much, Thao. Hopefully we'll see you again very, very soon. Good luck with everything. Congrats again on the new record and on your marriage and your wonderful life. So happy for you. And
thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you to all of you for tuning in and listening today. We could not do any of this without your support of KEXP. We are listener powered and independent. So thank you very, very much for making sessions like this possible, for making the broadcast, the YouTube channel, everything that KEXP is able to bring possible. So thank you so much. And check out our virtual events calendar for more live on KEXP at home sessions and much more fun stuff on our website, kexp.org. And we'll see you next time. It's KEXP Seattle.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.